Hey everybody, happy Sunday and welcome to week 12 of EDU6200. Got a lot going on this week. I'm going to do mostly a logistical message this week to kind of keep you on track because we have our two video chats this week. Your options are on 11/6, that is Wednesday, or 11/10, that is next Sunday. To come in that video online chat, I'm going to cover a lot of the rest of the curriculum with you and talk about the final exam and the final assignments. So wasting no time on that. If you haven't done it yet, we're closing out week number 11. And tonight, you need to make sure, not tonight, tomorrow night, it is Sunday, not Monday. I'm a day ahead this week. Tomorrow night by 11:55 p.m., make sure you've got your week 11 discussion post in there, your response post, and your WCG number 7 assignment, the school and community research assignment. I know many of you have already submitted that assignment. I do want to refer you back to the rubric because I'm seeing some assignments that are not necessarily following the rubric. They're following some guidelines that are in the handout and in the syllabus, but they're not following exactly what's in the rubric. So before you turn an assignment in, you want to make sure you're hitting every point on those rubrics and that those areas are clearly labeled in your assignment. For example, on assignment number 7, which is the school and community research assignment, you have to find 5 different educational publication resources that are relevant to involving the community, families, parents, anything like that that's going to get more community involvement in your school. You're going to see why this is so important when we do assignment number 8 towards the end of the semester, which bases itself off of this information. So you have to find 5 resources, and you want to make sure you list those for me in APA format. Then number 2, you've got to use that research to find 5 ways effective school leaders build sustainable and collaborative relationships with the community, the families, the parents, and all that stuff to help benefit the school despite barriers, despite the fact that our kids are poor, despite the fact that our parents don't show up, despite the fact that our parents work too many jobs. Whatever it may be, you have to have 5 different ways, and they should be explained fully, not just have a community fair night. Why? What's it going to do? How's that going to happen? So do make sure those things are in this piece when you turn it in. It's really important you cover those elements. That's what I'm looking for in this particular one. You can use technology to summarize it. Some folks have done a PowerPoint. Some have done a pamphlet type brochure. Some have done a Word document. Whatever works for you is fine, but make sure those 2 elements are very, very clear in your assignment. Okay. So now moving on to week number 12, which is the week at hand. There really are 3 things going on this week. Number 1, you've got the Chapter 10 reading you're going to do, and then the Chapter 10 group for this week is going to go ahead and post their stuff in tomorrow night for you to respond to, same as we've done the entire semester. Initial post, guys, by Friday. Final post, response post, on Monday. Then number 2, you've got the WCG number 6, the field experience assignment from professional development. I'm going to talk about that in some detail in this one to make sure everybody's on the same page. Then number 3, you got the week 12 online discussion, the video discussion, either on 11/6, that's Wednesday, or 11/10 next Sunday, both at 7 p.m. Again, an email will come out to you guys about 5 minutes at a time with the link. And I'm feeling much better, as you can tell. I'm not coughing as much as I was, and hopefully this time I won't fall asleep right before the chat. Yes, those of you from the Sunday group are laughing at me right now. That is my goal, to not fall asleep right before the chat. So those are the things to do this week. And then right away next week, you've got another discussion forum chat, and you've got WCG number 10, which is the observation summary. Now that assignment goes all the way back to assignment number 9, the first one we did, where you had to do some field notes. And now you're going to kind of respond to that. So I will talk more about that in a moment. I'll also talk about it Wednesday or Sunday with you guys to make sure you're on track. But let me first take some time to go over assignment number 6 again to make sure, even if you already submitted it, you can always resubmit if you need to. So first of all, you have to first identify a professional development area that is going to improve practices and tied to your school needs. So this is going back to assignment 5 that was due a couple weeks ago, where you had those 5 areas your school needed help in PD, and those 5 ways that effective school leaders deliver PD. You're going to pick one of each. So I'm going to pick that we need help in classroom management. And the best way I'm going to do that is we're going to do both a combined workshop with walkthroughs in classrooms to see effective classroom managers. Again, I'm hypothetically making one up here, but I want you to think about this process. You are going to be developing a training based on the school need and one of the areas you listed as an effective PD method. It could be a webinar. It could be a PLC meeting. It could be something like that. Doesn't have to be a stand and deliver workshop, which is why I said we do a little bit of a traditional workshop and then we do some classroom walkthroughs to see what effective classroom management looks like. So those are some important things to think about when you're picking that area. So I'm looking for that number one first and foremost. Number two, you're going to develop activities, things that the participants would do that tie right back to that improving professional practice and the school need. How are these activities going to work? I mentioned classroom walkthroughs. Well, we're going to see effective classroom management, and we're going to be able to apply that. So you have to explain that kind of in your piece. Number three, it's presented in a logical means, I'll talk about in a minute. And then number four, a one-page summary. Now, you need to submit this, the assignment itself, as a brochure. A brochure. It could be a trifold brochure. It could be a half-fold brochure. Whatever works for you. I recommended a couple of weeks ago you use PowerPoint as opposed to Publisher. It makes much nicer brochures than Publisher does. Much easier to work with and manipulate stuff. You're going to create a brochure for your mock training, whatever it happens to be, your mock professional development. Make sure you include key elements listed here. What is the area of need? What is the way you're going to deliver it? How are we going to do that activity-wise? And how is it going to benefit us professional practice-wise? Also, follow-up. How are we going to know it worked? Are we going to go back and have another meeting? Are we going to do walkthroughs? Are we going to do whatever? So make sure that's all part of this piece of how you're going to train your staff. You don't actually train your staff. You're just mocking it up in this brochure as if you do the whole thing start to finish. That's part one. Part two, you're going to share this. You have two options to share it, ladies and gentlemen. You can share it with your colleagues at school, your team, your department, whatever. Or you can share it with your colleagues in this class. However you want to do it. You can do it even virtually like we've done on Zoom. You can each send each other your brochures and then critique them online in a Zoom chat. That's perfectly fine. It would save you having to bring it anywhere. Plus then everybody kind of knows what you're doing anyway because you guys are all doing the same assignment. Last thing, you have to write a one-page reflection. The reflection should talk about two things. Number one, the process you did. And then number two, any changes, corrections, things you're going to modify based on the fact that you talked about it with somebody. You know, we talked about this thing I was going to do and it may not work out so right. I might try this differently when I actually do this. That's assignment number 6. So you're submitting two things, the brochure and a one-page reflection. Assignment number 6. If you have questions, that's what's due this week. Please ask me Wednesday night, Sunday. Get me your assignment now. Send it to me right now. I'm still finishing grading the WCG number 4 that was due this past week. And of course, starting tomorrow, I'll start grading the WCG number 7s. But I can look at your assignment if you get it to me and give me some time to look at things ahead of time. So that is assignment number 6. The last thing I want to talk about real quick is assignment number 10, number 8, which are coming up. And hopefully you've started working on them. In assignment number 10, you are going to do the following. You are going to basically pick the things you did with your principal in assignment number 9. Remember you had 5 barriers and 3 acknowledgments. You're going to pick 3 of the 5 barriers. And you're going to say, my principal did blah, blah, blah. This is what I do. Now you can respond in one of 3 ways. A, I agree with my principal. I do it the same way. This is why. B, I sort of agree with my principal. I do things a little different. This is why. C, I don't agree with my principal on how he or she did this. This is how I would do it differently. So for each of those 3 areas, you've got to, number 1, list what you did with your principal from assignment 9, and then talk about how you do it differently. So most folks do this as a double bulleted list. They basically have the 3 bullets from the first assignment and then a sub-bullet for each one on how they would do things differently. All right. Part 2. Same thing, only acknowledgments. Remember, you only had 3 acknowledgments, so you're addressing all 3 of those in this assignment. And same thing, my principal did this. Here's what I would do the same, sort of the same, different. Make sure this is a 3-page reflection, that you have to have 3 pages total addressing this stuff. So it can't just be like a one-line thing. You have to explain why you agree or disagree, what the outcome is, what you've learned from it. Just make sure that when you're done, your list is at least 3 pages. I've had some folks where their list wasn't quite 3 pages. They added a paragraph reflection at the bottom. That's perfectly fine too. But this rubric does have a very specific page limit, and I got to make sure you guys have 3 pages in there. Otherwise, I have to take points off. So do make sure you look at that rubric very carefully. And again, if you can't find the rubrics, ladies and gentlemen, they are on the right side of the portal page, the main page. When you come in, you see the blog post at the top, which have all the videos from every week. And then down below, you will find the specific rubrics for each assignment. And again, I'll remind you guys in a couple of weeks of the things that are coming up. All the field experience, there are 4 field experience forms. They don't come to me, they go right to Dr. Hassan. So do make sure those go into Dr. Hassan. Last thing in this video, and again, we'll be talking during the week about various things, is assignment number 8. Hopefully you've started. Again, remember, there are 4 parts to assignment number 8. Number 1, the 10-question survey, and one of you already sent me yours, and that's fantastic. I gave you some critique, I gave you some suggestions, and that's my job. If you want to send me your survey now, want me to look it over, I'll be glad to. Remember, you are surveying parents about how they feel about your school, whether it be involvement, communication, welcomeness, those kinds of things. Number 2, you're going to summarize the data graphically. So I recommend your questions are Likert scale, 5-point type Likert scale is really a good way to go. Number 3, you're going to summarize the data in words. So again, you're going to do the same thing you just did, but graphs, but talk about it in words. It's got to be 3 pages. And then number 4, a 1-page reflection about what you learned, what you figured out, what you do differently. Those kinds of things come into this piece as well. So that's it at this point. If you at all are feeling confused about an assignment, please call me ahead of time. I know I've had to contact some of you afterwards. And for some of you, I'm trying to give you a chance to submit it because it wasn't really what I was looking for in that assignment. And you're getting points taken off because it's late, obviously, but that's better than the grade you would get because it was totally off base. If I graded your assignment and you have some things in there saying this was not done correctly, I gave you the best grade I could based on the rubric, and if I let you turn it in late, it would have been more points off than you already had. So I want you to realize that's where my grading is coming from. I've put comments and everything, ladies and gentlemen, especially if your grade is not a full grade. There's always a comment there in the portal with your grade. If it's ever missing, let me know because it may not have stuck. Sometimes that happens. I know you guys, somebody before this course thought you posted. It didn't go through, but you showed me where you did. And so I took care of that piece. So if you can't see my comments, you're curious about something, you want to have a conversation. I know some of you emailed me. I haven't gotten to those yet. I'll be looking at them later on today and getting back to you with my feedback. Anything else, please, guys, text me. Email me, call me, let's have a conversation and make sure you're on the right target for these last 3 assignments coming in, number 6, well, number 7 tonight, obviously, so 4, or 7 tomorrow night, number 6, number 8, and number 10. Do make sure you get those done, and again, you guys have a great, great week. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.